Okay. I'm going to mute.
No, that's okay. I'm going to, oh, okay. No problem. Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 7 of the Mastermind. This week, we are going to start tapping into that concept of loneliness. However, it's going to have a big overriding question of where is my home? So from that perspective of understanding who we are, where we fit in, the masks, it's interesting that we've been talking about masks the last couple of weeks and how we've spoken about it, because the energy is definitely in alignment with that, listening to the Leo King and things he's talking about not being fake and having the two faces and all of those sorts of things. So I'm glad we're on point with what we're talking about. Now, this week, and especially that's today is or was the lunar eclipse this morning. Sorry, yeah, not lunar. Solar eclipse this morning at 5:16 a.m. Australian time, Eastern time, and then for Jerry it would have been 4:16 Eastern Japanese time. So the energy, it's in Cancer, it's all about family, it's all about relationships, it's highly emotive, okay? And one of the things that we're looking at the moment is the energy of understanding who we are in the situations that we find ourselves, and also from that perspective of being able to stand in our truth and recognizing that we're going to lose people because of our truth, lose connection with people even though they remain, or have very face value relationships with people versus those deep connections that we have, and especially when it comes to family, okay? Because we come with these huge expectations, and we're taught these expectations when we're children because, you know, they're your parents, you need to respect them. They're your elders, make sure you speak well to them. You cut slack for them because this and that. Even my husband still will always give old people or elders, his elders, so much more leeway, even if they're being rude and disgusting. He will not. Like with my parents, I found out after I'd cut my family out of our lives, Don came to me and said not specifically, it was just in chatting, every time I wasn't in the same room with him and my mum was mean to him. And he never said a thing. Ever, ever. And it was just like, you're kidding. Hello, Sue. So we've just started. So part of the process that I would like you to have a look at and step into with your process at the moment, given what we've been through so far, is understanding your definition of loneliness. That is the first part. You want to define loneliness. Now, maybe I should, let me see if I can get this up here on my phone. I'm just going to get the loneliness meaning. So we're going to hit the dictionary. Okay, loneliness via the dictionary means sadness because one has no friends or company. Feelings of depression and loneliness. Yes, and interesting synonyms of this word are abandonment and rejection. Okay, so the other thing, the quality of being unfrequented and isolated or remote. Okay, so there's a couple of ways you can look at this. One of the things that is a common truth, and especially with famous people, they have people everywhere in their life but can be as lonely as the next person because there's lack of connection. I remember I was involved in I got to do a guest speaking gig on the Planners Association or something, like event planners group or something, down on the Gold Coast. I can't remember the name of the group now. but it was a few years ago. And one of the people that was talking on the stage was from one of those homemaking shows here in Australia. He has been diagnosed with cancer a couple of times. And he was talking, and he was speaking about he just wants connection now. Like, he's got all the money and the fame, but he has no connection. And so I draw from that story, or that point of reference, because at one point in my life, especially when I cut all of my family out, and because I had kept 2% of myself away from my husband in case he turned into an asshole, and I needed that 2% of strength to be able to leave or go and be independent, those sorts of things, I felt unbelievably lonely. And it was ridiculous from a face value point of view, because I had my community around me that I'd been working with. I had two really close friends at the time. But because I'd lost that familial connection, and especially with one of my cousins who'd known me my whole life, when she was exited from my life, that one, it was just like, who can I turn to? And what I discovered was that I had a really poor relationship with myself, because there is no loneliness in my life at all anymore. I have no family other than Don and my children and my mother-in-law. And okay, to put that into context as well, I can feel lonely when I'm with my mother-in-law, because it's lack of connection. There is a lack of, but I'm still being me, because what we spoke about before you came on, Sue, was the notion of what we've been dealing with the masks, and that we're now moving into this space and time because of the eclipse, because of the fact it's in Cancer, and family and emotions and relationships, and we can't afford to walk around with masks on anymore. So I don't have any masks on when I'm in relationship with my mother-in-law, but I know that I am at the mercy of her comprehension skills and her story when it comes to how a daughter-in-law is supposed to act, and then her story and the dysfunction that exists between her and her two sons. I cannot take responsibility for that. But if I'm with her and I'm just doing the stuff, there's no one else, I feel lonely in that relationship, because I also don't have a safe space to be able to talk to Don about it, because he is the protective, old people get all of the leniency under the sun. And he also comes from a story that is operating from his stupid friggin' sister-in-law, that is, daughters-in-law are mean to their mothers-in-law. So if I speak up about my mother-in-law, Don's brain immediately goes to his evil sister-in-law and thinks I'm being just as bad, even though after 21 years of being a couple, he is sitting there not even giving me the allowance that I'm just verbalizing where I'm struggling, that I am allowed to have an opinion about something, but I'll work through it. So there's loneliness in that part of my life, because I'm not connected, I am not heard, and I'm not validated. Okay, so this is the part where you want to define your loneliness, in those places where you're not heard, you're not validated, and you're not understood, and perhaps even not respected. Okay, but as part of that process, when you're doing that definition work, is to understand and validate those people who you do not feel like you have a connection with, their story. I got the opportunity with Don and his mum sitting there the other day. They started bickering again. And I just started to laugh. And my mother-in-law goes, "What's funny?" I said, "You two are funny." And they go, "What do you mean?" I said, "You last 2 months or two weeks ago, it's devastation. Now you're bickering with each other over something that's so stupid." And they said, "Oh, we didn't even realize." I thought, no, I bet you didn't. But so I was able to remove myself through my humor, but also setting a bit of a boundary. It's sort of like, are you, because honestly, when Nanny does popper clogs. I'm the one that's going to have to be sitting there rubbing backs and making sure everything's okay, because there is no one else for me there. There is no one in that situation that will support me. So when they're sitting there bickering like that, I'm like, knock it off. There's no point in, but at the same time, hands off the wheel. Their dysfunction, who cares? So the other part of loneliness attached to the energy of it is, where are you not hearing yourself? Where are you not validating yourself? Where are you continually misunderstanding yourself because you are ensconced in conditioning? And where are you not respecting yourself because of your life circumstances? Perhaps you're a heavily conditioned codependent. I had a lady come in for an in real life session today on my bench, and her partner has been cheating on her since December. And it's just A-grade narcissism. And this poor woman, her codependency is so ingrained. Her wounding, I haven't seen anybody this wounded. And her brain, it's going to take, like her crown chakra, I put my hand on the top of her head, it was cold, but the front of her forehead was on fire. They said, you've shut your brain down. So it took a long time to get it to shift, and it was just a little bit. So that's also, I want to just give yourself that space of recognizing if you do have loneliness in your life, if you do have aspects of loneliness, that you've got to look for the dotted line as to where you're not your own best company. And it is a process, and it is, you do have to tuck away the layers. But like I share the story that I did because you're going to have bouts of it. But the thing we want to shift is taking away of it being debilitating. And perhaps if you could get to that stage where you look at a situation and you do feel lonely, but it's just a moment in time. Is it really the truth? Because to be honest, as soon as I step out of the energy of having to step into the role that I have with my mother-in-law, and I'm back in my own energy, loneliness gone. I'm okay with me. So that's why you need to work on your own relationship with yourself, and recognize where you can talk yourself up. Be okay with sitting in your space, reading a book, or going to a movie on their own, or going to dinner on your own. Rosie, when you're on your cycle doing a ride, how do you feel when you're in that space? Is it a case of like not hitting rocks so you fall off, or are you fully present with yourself going through ideas and information like that? Are you able to talk to that? Hang on. There you go. Oh, okay.
Yeah, sometimes I'll be riding when I'm just going up the fire roads, and my mind will be thinking about things and planning and that sort of thing. But then when I'm doing downhills, I've got to concentrate on what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I use that quite often as a grounding time.
Mm-hmm. Has it been a hard week? Mm-hmm.
Really hard. We've just had a major discussion before this.
Mm-hmm. And what came out?
Looks like we will be.
Oh, really? Did you have to say yes?
We've discussed it, and we're just going to get through Christmas with the businesses and then see where we are.
Okay. That's a long time between now and Christmas, so you don't know what will show up in that time. Who instigated the conversation?
We were having an argument, and he did.
Okay. Okay.
So I've done a text up and I'm about to hit the send button because I need those details.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, send it through. Then I won't forget. Okay, so that's a bugger. However, a wonderful opportunity to just be fully invested in your own health and well-being from
And that
now.
was one of the points, because he said, since I've started this, it's all been about me. It's been I.
Yes, that's what happens. Oh, this is just let me have a breath in for a second. This is one of the hardest things, like to the point I feel like crying because of the rage I feel towards narcissists who have no fucking idea how much damage they do and then try and blame the other person. So all I can say to you, Rosie, is your social experiment is going to the next level. I know and understand your primary fear, and all I can say is make that the last of your focus, because it will be okay.
Yeah.
I just have a niggly feeling that he has an agenda attached to his choice. So, and again, it's me speculating because I just feel stuff. You know, I can I can refer you to a very good psychic down at the Tweed Coast that will tell you a whole heap of stuff that's true. But other than that, that's not something that I do. But given from a loneliness perspective, do you have a best friend?
I've just started getting close to one girl. Yep. So I am pretty lonely.
Yeah. Yep.
In all aspects. I've got no family.
Yep.
My family's toxic.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So use the mastermind, Rosie. You're in there. We've got 18 weeks. We've got that function we call it dump and run. So that's if you need to get stuff out, you can type it in there. You can go and do videos in there to speak it if you're out in the car and you just want to get something off your chest. Same thing if you want to write things, you can write it, take a photo of it. If it's too private, then just get your phone and do squiggles over the top of it so that nobody can see it, but you put it in the mastermind and it'll clean the energy so that you're okay. But
yeah, I haven't had a look. I haven't even looked at last week's homework because I've been looking at that money to making and other things.
Yeah,
so
I get it. It's a bit full on at the moment. Everything. I watched Leo King today. He cried. I've watched 3 of his sessions in the last 24 hours. He was crying. He was ready to toss everything in yesterday. So it's, and he's got thousands and thousands of people that hang on his every word. So if we're being mere mortals trying to navigate our life, and as I mentioned on my call, I did a morning stretches this morning, there's a lady, and I can't remember who it is. I think it's a cosmic queen. She calls people muggles. If they're not doing personal development work, she calls them muggles. And she said the muggles aren't coping at the moment. So if the muggles aren't coping and we're trying to cope because of what we're doing, I'm not surprised. But just don't give up and don't allow yourself. And it's easy for me to say it, but I do know and understand the devastation that you're feeling. I know Sue would be very good at being able to align with the devastation you're feeling. And I know with Jerry, I've learnt with how her extended family treat her, she also has high levels of devastate when it comes to people letting you down. So you won't be alone, but do your best not to go too far forward You want to listen to that grounding audio every morning to be able to keep yourself present, okay? Because the only thing that's going to put you into overwhelm is if you let your mind wander and go too far ahead, because right now, today, this minute, everything's fine. What just happened was an exchange of words. The energy might have shifted so that there's no togetherness anymore. That's okay. You still have a roof. You still have the bank account. You still have the businesses. Okay? So there's right this minute feels yucky, but you're okay. All right.
Yeah, thank you.
No worries. Okay, so we'll all have levels of our own loneliness going on there. How about you, Sue? Are you in a position to talk about your aha? Yeah. Okay.
My dump and run the other day.
Yeah. So what happened?
Yeah. Oh, just the whole trigger warning, sexual abuse, conditioning, sex is going to fix all my problems.
Mm-hmm.
And, make me feel connected to someone, somewhere, something.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can take myself out of my present into something that is tangibly physical, I get out of my head and I don't think about any of the stuff that's going on. And it was just an absolute freaking balls up. It was
Really?
terrible.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Not from a sense that I had an expectation in my head, because I had this drive to, I need to get out of where I'm at. And so I'm going to immerse myself into this thing that's going to be amazing and fabulous. And yeah, it freaking wasn't. But, it wasn't bad. It just was like, completely depleted. And yeah, that didn't work.
Okay.
And then coming out of that and going into that absolute drop of why the fucking hell did you do this, you stupid, and, all that internal conversation. And then, spent the next day crying, and which was great in a sense. I did the grounding in the morning, and then the tears started to flow and they didn't stop for the entire day. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going, I've got to stop crying. And I went, you know what? I'm going to sit on the grass with my drum. Mm-hmm. I'm going to drum and I'm going to cry.
Yep, nice.
And I did.
Yep.
And it was lovely. And I purposely didn't pick it apart again. I then went, you know what? That was really fucking stupid. But I know all of that already. Mm-hmm. So, okay, yeah, you made a mistake. You've got a big aha. Work with that. Move on.
Was it the same person as when you came and saw me that time, or is it someone else? Same person?
No, it's the same. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, it's not an ideal situation at all. Mm-mm. And it's been going on for a little while, and the little bell in the back of my head is going, excuse me, hello, hello. But other parts of my body are going, yeah, but so, and there's lots of that validation in that, I'm attractive or I'm wanted by someone or whatever, without looking deeper than the surface level and the all the things that fire the neurons in your brain that just go woohoo. And then
has that, like, just a question from that point of view of when you came and saw me here that first time, had it happened very many times from there to this one yesterday? Because I remember you were going to have a gap, or you thought, right, that's not for me. So was there a big gap, and then that's this weekend?
There was possibly not a big gap.
That's okay. No, from the point, the point I'm trying to make is you have grown a lot since when you came and saw me here.
Yeah. Yep.
So that woman that was okay with that, or was enjoying that experience, is not the same woman that's on the computer here today. So that's why it was different. And there is no harm or foul. This is that human nature thing that comes with, I feel connected. But the part with I'm pretty sure you've got it, but it's that whole self-sabotage thing. And just like I spoke about with alcoholism, you can fall off the wagon because something triggers in you and you just think, I deserve to be paying a price. Now, it doesn't feel like it when you're doing it. The serotonin's going off, your dopamine's going off, and because your story's being met before you get there. Oh, I know where I can go. I know what this could look like. And if you're texting and stuff like that before, it's like, whoa. That article that I shared in the thing, maybe I should put it in the mastermind as well. Alan de Botton talking about the fault of romance and how we have this, which is a good conversation to have when you're looking at loneliness, actually. The way that we've been brought up, women in our age group or our era, were brought up with romance concepts that the people from World War II or born just after World War II, my grandparents, Dad's parents knew each other 3 weeks before they got married, and my mum's parents met on the 17th of October and got married on the 31st of December. Same year.
Wow.
1918, was it? No. Hang on, where am I going here? 1942. So there was the war brides. It's like, oh, we need to get married because, and they used to look at a woman dancing, and back in the day when the clothes she had on, if she had nice shoes or a nice hair or whatever, that was the reason, oh, you look nice, that sort of thing. There was no real connection, that soulmate concept. So when you're living in our era and you're looking for connection, and one of the ways to do that is if you've got a luscious body, and then you'll just use it to your advantage, if you like. But the one thing that does happen with this process is that you vibrate past the act. And that's not to say that the act can't be luscious and spontaneous if you want it to be, but at the same time, you're at a point where you want real connection. And I know one of the dynamics with that man was his alcoholism, and that you won't ever be able to feel connected with somebody that's blowing themselves out. To feel connected.
That's right. And it's purely a dysfunction going knocking on my door. And now I recognize that now, and I just look at it and go, yeah, okay, lesson learned. Okay, it took me about 27 times, but that's okay.
Oh well. Yes, that's the same thing. This is a bit mortifying because Pete's going to hear this, but anyway, we're not just a group of girls today. I went through a phase. So I was brought up no sex before marriage, and was hilarious because when I learnt the truth about my parents, I'm like, where did that come from? But anyway, they also got married when Mum was 17 and 19. So I reckon that was part of the reason by no sex before marriage, and you're on the shelf at 21 in that era, because they needed to be able to have sex soon and didn't want to go to hell. So they got married before they should have, or all those sorts of things. Anyway, I strung out the chap. So the first person I had sex with was the man that I got married to. And then he had his first affair 3 months after we were married. And when our marriage was done, I was 24 or 25, I think, 24. And it was like, have vagina, we'll use it. And it was just one of those things where I went nuts. But I got to a place over, so from 20, it must have been 24 to 20. I started going out with Donnie when I was 28. So from 24 to 28, I went nuts. I had my first one night stand. It was horrible because I was so self-conscious. But then the man gave me all these details and he said, oh, give me a call. And I did about 4 or 5 days later. And he was surprised that I was telling the truth, that I hadn't done it before. And I'm like, oh, people. Anyway, so you know, that one didn't end up being a one-night stand because we did see each other for a couple of months. But my point being with sharing that story is you look for connection in the only way you know how. And when you're a woman, one of the currencies is through sexuality. And that's a part of the journey that we have to escape from, because that's connected to that prostitution energy that I've spoken about before. There is a healed version of that. When you know and understand your body, then part of that is that it's a true connection for you. And it won't matter who you're with, because you're connected to yourself. So you're not looking for that outside validation of somebody else doing that for you. That's right. So that it's a good conversation to have when you're coming up with loneliness, because physical connection, there's a reason sex is in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and it's right at the top. It's a very important part, but it can be, gosh, if you're not connected to the person, it can be horrible. And that's what I did. I remember I did something really drunk and horrible, and I said I felt so disgusted in myself. And the man wasn't attractive. He was Australian. This was in the UK. And then it has been the core of a lot of self-loathing over a long period of time. But it was the point where I just said, that's it. I am not sleeping with somebody until I love them. The end. And then came home not long, I suppose 3 or 4 months after that. And
the interesting thing for me at the end of this was, after the aha, is all of the, because, you know, there was lots of patterns going through my head and thoughts and all that, so it's gone.
Oh, good. Yeah. Beauty. That's like the power of the dump and run. That's the power of that. So good on you. Yeah. And there's no harm or foul, no humiliation, no shame. It's just one of those final lessons, which is in good timing, because you're in that window of, that's it. That's it. I've had 2 that's it this week. They're huge in my life, but it's just like the energy of like, oh. So yeah, very good. Right. What else can we talk about when it comes to loneliness? All right. I just want to add in with Rosie, with that I thing, is that you haven't had a quality outcome with putting yourself first, from somebody being understanding and knowing, oh, this is good for you and all of that sort of stuff. Your social experiment has been, oh, that's what happens when I put myself first. Okay. So I don't want you to give up on putting yourself first. It's paramount that you keep going, and you just understand that from that process of he's doing the best he can with what he has, and it's not ever going to be able to jump up on the starter's block, and that's not your fault. Part of the process when you do personal development work, and I know that when you first came to see me, was in the hope of getting back to finding yourself, so this reconnection could have found its place. And being a catalyst year, 2019 is a catalyst year. It's the amount of relationships that are ending are significant, because we just can't sustain the faces anymore, and you certainly can't sustain, even from a health perspective, we just cannot fake it anymore. We can't, you know. So I'll just give you one of these things that's come up for me on this holy fuck thing. My eldest boy has pretty much failed his first semester of grade 11. He got 1 C and everything else was a fail. And I have tried and tried and tried to say to him for years, even engage, get in, read books, study, do all that sort of stuff. Put them in a situation where I can see what they're doing. And then it's just, I believe he doesn't have any comprehension skills. He doesn't understand what he's being asked to do. So but then when I help him and give him the guidance on where to go and what to read and how to put things together, he comes good. So that helps me validate, like, oh, you just need somebody to share it out for you. And then also trying to be the spiritual mother that's allowing him on his soul's journey and all of that sort of stuff. So when he got his report card the other day, which is hilarious considering what mine used to look like. It's like this big printed thingy. And he's going into he's the first era of the new tertiary score to get into uni. And he's pretty much crueled it in this first semester that he can kiss uni goodbye. And I'm gutted because one of my greatest fears I have, and this is one of the things that I put my hand up for, I don't know how to work on it. I don't know if I need to, but I have nil tolerance for dumb. Now, if he has a learning disability, that's what I've sent an email off to the school today. I need him to be assessed. I need to understand, does he have something going on that he isn't engaging, or is this just laziness? I just want to work it out. But one of my biggest judgments in life is that the stupid people will rule the world, like the ones that have voted for Donald Trump and love Pauline Hanson here in Australia, that sort of thing. Now, Tim isn't like that in any way, shape or form, but it's my foundation fear. So that's it, is he's losing his phone. He will not be allowed to have his computer anywhere other than the work desk. I'm booking him into morning tutors, afternoon tutors at school. I will be writing him like nothing, and I will not be not present at home when his schoolwork that's it. Because just in case I can save his schooling for him with getting him that help. So that was this big, that's it. I can't, but the first thing I did was attacked myself because I didn't do more for him. But honestly, I have done so many different things. I have tried reverse psychology. I have spoken to him about my fears of dumb people. I have spoken to him, and I know he has the capacity, but then he's just not interested. And then I got A's and B's, but I didn't have to try. I had one of those brains that didn't have to try. I'm, again, crueled myself, because if I'd have tried, I would have got a 990 TE score and done whatever I wanted, but I had to go the long way. Anyway, these I'm done things are going to take the wind out of your sails by a lot. You're going to have parts of the energy for the next couple of weeks. But by all accounts, this next week will be a bit of a reprieve. And then when we go where there's another eclipse and Mercury retrograde, then it starts to peak again. So, yay. What you want to do, like a ninja, over the next week is to sit there and do this work about joining the patterns to where you haven't been heard, where you have felt unvalidated, where you have felt misunderstood, and where people have lacked respect for you. It's going to go back a long way. It's going to come down to how you were conditioned as a child and the life events that came up and how you've evolved to that place, and how you're going to then will set up a plan of how you can pull that back. Now, if it's not possible for the people around you to do that, and you may have to use words like, you will not disrespect me. I have nil allowance for you to disrespect me and my wishes. You may have to use sentences like that with people. From the point of view of when you're speaking your truth, am I hard to understand? Are my wishes that difficult to understand? Because this is the allowance that you go into for the people once you step into this work, is that they've never had to respect you, hear you, validate you, or understand you. They've never had to do that. So you're going to have to train them so that you're not always on the back foot. And this is part of your social experiment. Rosie, for you, the opportunity to get into fight will be high, and it won't be coming from you. If he's making this decision that he wants out, then there's the same thing, but he'll blame you for it. The fact, how long have we known each other? I'm going to go and have a look at the date of your first session. I don't think it's any more than 2 months. So he's given you, holy crap, 8 weeks to get your shit together. Holy, how generous of him. You know, that's not fair. How many years did you give him? And this is one of those conversations.
I actually mentioned that today and brought that up. Holy shit. No, shouldn't have brought it up.
No, you should have. If you got a big reaction out of it, you know where his responsibility is.
He's mortified that I think like that, or that I felt like that, and I'm still bringing it up after all those years.
Of course he is. But that's the rewording is, how many years was it? Let's say I'm going to just pull, you can say to him, I'm not asking you for much, and I can promise you it's not going to take me 7 years to get through this, but a little more than 7 weeks to help, because I need you to understand that I'm doing this in order for us to be able to, or for me to get back on the horse here. And then the social experiment is, why are you not prepared to give me time? Did you ask him that?
I said, how is it fair?
Yep, and that's okay. That's a good question, but now go to him. Why are you not prepared to give me time? Are we that different that you expect me to be in a different space?
We are. He's
okay.
here, I'm there. Yeah.
That's all right. So when it comes conversation time next, you just say, why are you not prepared to give me time? And just wait for him to answer it. If he goes off track, no, I want to know why you're not prepared to give me time. And you can say, let's cancel out the fact that I gave you all that time. I hear you when you say that hurts your feelings. I hear you. But now I'm asking you to hear me. Why are you not prepared to give me time? I need some. 6 months may not be enough. I'll do my best, but you didn't have a time frame, so why do I have to have one?
I actually, I said to him, you were abusing me. I copped abuse for how many years, and he can't believe that what he did to me was abuse. And I said it was emotional and verbal abuse, and he just won't accept it.
Mm-hmm. They're always the victim. Yep. That's okay. So instead of your tactic, I apologise for using the word tactic, but this is where you're going to have to go, is if it hasn't been about, if it's he is distressed at it being all about you, then that's where you change the dialogue. What is it within you that isn't prepared to give me time? Why does it hurt you so much that I'm speaking my truth about how I was treated? No, I want your opinion. You tell me. I'm making it about you. Let me understand. Because he won't be able to continually blame you if you're asking him questions where he has to talk about it from his own point of view. And even then, do you understand the impact of being yelled at or diminished or having to come to your rescue because you couldn't get a job? The responsibility you put on me instead of taking responsibility for yourself. These are the kind of things.
Yeah, it's just really hard because it ends up going round and around in a circle.
Yeah.
Because it just, and I don't know that I've got that in me.
Yeah, okay. So the technique is called assertion skills. So it's like a dog on a bone with one topic until he answers it. And you will become adept at it. I'm bloody good at it. And I've been I learned how to do it in 92, sorry. I started a new job and everybody got assertion skills training. And it was like they were talking to me. It is pretty much, and it's the same thing. As soon as you hear them taking it off topic, no, don't change the subject. Come back here. I agreed we will talk about this one thing today. I'm not taking it off into the past. I'm not taking it off into the future. This is what I want to know now. Yes, that's very nice, but let's come back onto the topic, please. Why won't you answer my question? Is there something about the question that makes you uncomfortable? It's a really good time to be able to get stuff off your chest. Are you going to tell the truth? All of those kind of things. Man, what a time to have a pain in the ass.
It had to come though.
Yep. And that's, who's to say there's not some sort of giant lobotomy catharsis type thing that comes after this next solar eclipse or lunar eclipse. I don't even know what it is. If it's a lunar eclipse on the full moon, holy crap, we might all spontaneously combust. Oh, look at this. My son. Oh, this is the thing. My children, nobody's listening at the moment. Children aren't listening. Adults aren't listening. People are walking around in a daisy haze type thing. If I could ask you, Rosie, don't take any of this personally. If I could be Harry Potter and zap your forehead with that right now, you'd be fine. But it's just hard. You'll be okay. Okay? You will be okay. You are living one of those examples of everything has come home to roost. And that's okay.
It's actually good. I want to get it sorted and
Yep.
have my life back.
Yep. Good idea. Okay, so that'll wrap up tonight. Your homework is the loneliness, defining loneliness from your point of view. It's going to be quite a detailed document loneliness. But then when you start to do the exercise around being heard, validated, understood, and respected, and the history with that, you'll be able to come to that point of recognizing where you're your own best friend and you don't need anyone else to make you feel validated or connected. Okay. And then that means that when you have connections with others for short periods of time, you do feel on purpose and on track and living your life properly. So like I get that when I do these classes, when I'm talking to you guys and I listen and we're able to work through things, and I feel connected and fabulous from that point of being with other people in this space and time. Then I've worked out I also like silence, so that when I need some time to myself, and that's what I said to my boys when I want to go away, the boys got to this point where it's like, you're just trying to get away from us. And I'm like, no, this is not getting away from you. This is recognizing that I need time to myself to reconnect back to me. It's got nothing to do with getting away with you, away from you. It's just I need to reconnect without having, my sense of responsibility is massive. So if I need a break from responsibility, I have to go over here rather than sitting here and just looking, because I feel responsible for you when we're in close together. I leave Dad to feel responsible for you. I trust him. I go over there. That's how I have made peace with me needing a break from things, because it's my relationship with responsibility that was causing part of my feeling of loneliness. Does that make sense? So when you do your other stuff, you're going to find the anatomy of your loneliness, and it's going to be like a red spot on a white shirt. Okay? So if you need to do any processing, do it in the group. And any questions, just tag me and we'll work through it. Okay? If we need to do a second call about this next week, then we will. Okay? Thanks for coming, everyone.
Thank you.
We'll see you later. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.